Keep in mind, also, we was just rapping a little bit. Keep in mind, if you didn't know what you know, you probably wouldn't be here right now. You know what I'm saying? They took you through the routine again. But they already know, because they probably spotted you anyway. Looking for you to harass, because we're rolling. So you ain't doing nothing wrong.
Slaying the dragon.
Because that's what you're doing. See, because when you start smacking Goliath, they start paying attention to you. Because you're a threat. Knowledge is a threat. So they harass you, to try to intimidate you, push you back in the cage. You know how you're getting the crabs, they're getting out the basket. Oh. You're not doing nothing wrong. Your attacks come when you become conscious, because remember, vampires recognize the light. And this is one of the things that mistakes that we often make. Think that when the attention is attracted and these things start occurring, that you're doing something wrong. Now, it don't mean that it couldn't be that in general, you know, metaphysically. But 9 times out of 10, that ain't it. And I was talking to to a couple brothers and a sister today. I was working around the house on some issues, because I told the brother that came past the community center not quite a year ago, and they had him roll with a lot of tickets here in Philly, and I was schooling him. That's brother and his wife came past to Tays, you know, because I was over in Jersey last night, going back over there and fixing, because I'm fixing the walls. And he had went in there, you know, because he had went through all the things, people were trying to sell him UCCs and sourly packages and everything. I told him to take the rip off the website. So he went in there with the flags. As soon as he set his flags up, the judge said, put them away, get out, you're done. So he didn't know, because the judge wasn't going to, he knows that much. He already know if he let him talk, he's going to start freeing the slaves. And it's back to the point of understanding concept, that all this stuff is really basic. You know, I mean, we can talk a lot of stuff. There's a lot of subject matter we can get into, always. But the principles are the same. So, like, if you're dealing with the dragon, now dragon is the head of the grand protectors of the Christian creed. He would be Kaikos, Ku Klux Klan. All right? Dragon got the same knowledge we got. Same knowledge as potentate got. Same knowledge as a Shriner has. DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, Skull and Bones. All of them got the same knowledge. What they do with it is your issue. And what they don't do with it is your issue. And this is where most people don't know. That's why we're talking about slaying the dragon. So slaying the dragon is demystification. Taking the mystery out of things. Because what happens is, you know, when we get involved in the everyday things that we do in everyday life and the BS-dorf that goes along with it, we start thinking sometimes that these are a whole bunch of different things. Not necessarily. Do you understand? When you understand that all the world's politics, from the east to the west, to the north to the south, all modern world politics of nations is based on 1492 and 1493, the Pontifex Inter Terra Divina, when the Christians conquered the Moors. And if you're not aware of that as a backdrop, information that you get from different sources, you know, you can sometimes have the idea that these things are standing alone.
You know, see, I'm not aware this is a backdrop, so can you like fill in some spaces for me so I can get what you got?
All right, well, What I'm talking loosely, world history.
All right, all
All
right.
right, so loosely, some people say Moorish history. We're saying world history because there's no Moorish history, which is your own birthright, your own real history, or what they call the Masonic secret. You have to have a background in world history. And that world history gives you a background in nations and tribes, the politics, the cause and effect, the philosophies, how the philosophies have varied as they've come through different tribes. In other words, like, you know how like say you get some gold, I get some gold, right? And we can be in the same territory or different territories, and you make a few different designs on that become known to you, to your area, on how you weave that gold into a chain.
Yeah.
Although I may do something similar, archaeologists would say, well, that's a Sumerian gold chain, and mine may be Lumerian gold chain, but yet we're actually brothers. But the way we've cultivated or used these things, people have a tendency, just like today, they might say an Italian gold chain.
Sure.
Based on gold. Gold ain't Italian, but they're talking about customs. You understand style. So they know that many of the Italian type styles are actually African because of the Moors. Mixing with them, which is why most Italians dress kind of sharp, because they got that from Moor. They're Moorish blood. They're Moorish side. You know, so they're more attention. They pay more attention to details. Like Italians, they ain't gonna wear no dumb shoes. They gotta wear some leathers or something like a brother would wear.
Oh yeah.
You know, slick
Sure.
overcoat and nice cut suit,
That's what's up.
nice quality.
Yeah.
Now, people who know the history know why. People who don't know the history be thinking that's just altogether their culture by themselves, and it's not, if you understand. Same principle. When you know world history, you know the link between nations. And you know nations, quote unquote, as we see them, is more political than reality. But they are political realities. Do you understand what I'm saying? But actually, all we are is extended families of one. And the one of the modern era, well, you couldn't call it modern, of the descendants of the ancient ones are the Moabite. When I'm saying Moabites are Sumerians and Lumerians and Mesopotamians, you understand? Egyptians, you know, but people who don't really know world history kind of separate these things, thinking these are different people rather than understanding same people in different territories. You understand? Where an archaeologist would know when he goes into Mexico and looks at the Pyramid of the Sun, he knows that that's not contrary to the nature of the Pyramid in Giza. And that when they go into the culture, you might have some linguistic differences, but the culture is really relatively the same. And all is based on cosmology, all of it. Now there may be different expressions, you understand what I'm saying? Now archaeologists know that, scientists know that, true historians know that, but they all won't necessarily tell it because it messes up the politics. You control, if you understand, because they keep people divided against each other so they can control them, and also take their lunch money, and also keep them cutting each other's throat. You understand? And then feeding them different versions of gods that they make up. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And so this is basically how the politics, modern politics, is made up. But those who perpetrate these things belong to secret societies and learn the real truths so they can maintain power. Loosely, that's called the Masonic secret. Whether it's Kyplos, Shriners, DAR, Masons, Eastern Star, Daughters of the American Revolution, all same knowledge. That's why in secret they wear the Moorish fez in rituals, because that is the foundation of this whole game. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And if you have that's a kind of a backdrop of how to look at politics, though we could refine it in different areas, subject matter-wise, to understand present-day politics, particularly in North America, because Rome was ruling from our throne. They've traded places. And so it's important for our people to really have a good background in world history in order to understand the existence of the Moorish movement, why it really exists, what they're to really do with this information. Then, of course, you have, logically, when you have sociology and social engineering going on, you're going to have infiltrators. And so you're going to have people in the movement and peripheral around the movement that's going to try to make people think it's a belief system in order to divert them from civic action, which is principles of civilization, in order to regain the estate. Because when you come at it from an emotional point of view, you're no threat. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when you come at it from a scientific and a governmental point of view, then you are generating what you call political power, sovereign birthright political power. That's where it lies, in the political realm. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's what the world's governments recognize, and that's what moves them. In other words, if you're going to gain or secure your rights, and you're sitting around talking about what you believe, they'll love that because they know you're neutered. You're just like a bull with no testicles. Big talking trash, you ain't doing nothing. And that's what is known as the Negro. We talk stuff, we're saved, we know Allah, we know Jesus, we're saved. And of course our babies are dying younger and younger, but we lie to them and say they're saved. Nobody challenges us because they want them dead. So they're no threat. And then our people feel all self-righteous, so they think they special. Islam, they have Islam. They have this concept of security that really don't exist. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, Noble Ali, in 1913, from a metaphysical, scientific position, in what people will call spirituality, but spiritual is really breath, came to bring a remedy. In other words, he's sort of like an avatar or a sage. Do you understand? And by our people not knowing their own culture, logically they come into clash because they usually deal with beliefs. Who they believe and who says Jesus. That's where they're coming from. But if they knew their culture, they know that every age brings 7 sages. It has always been that way. It has never not been that way. But by our people being outside of their culture, they don't recognize the avatars when they come. Do you understand what I'm saying? People loosely call them prophets or seers. And logically, when the people have been under the influence of Rome, they're caught up in that mystery God type mentality. So it's hard for them to tell day from night. They just deal with beliefs. Whatever comes this week, and they convert to something else when that don't work, and then they convert to something else when that, and that's the culture, is death. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But the rulers know the truth. And we were talking about this earlier. I'm going to give a little bit of it now, show you Slave the Dragon. This will continue our conversation too. You know what that is already, right? Swastika. Who does it belong to?
Germany.
No. All right, it belongs to you. Now, do you know what that means? I mean, you know that that's what it is, but do you know what it means? You understand what I'm saying to you? Swastika is ancient Sanskrit. They'll say in linguistics Sanskrit, which means that's what it means. And this is also means the well-being. the good being, the well-being, and from where they get the term, though loose and not totally correct, good luck. You understand? Now, it is called the good being. These is your 90 degree. And of course your 90 degree. There's 490s equal 360 degrees, which are logically in geometry. Angles, angels, angles, angels is alpha. And omega. Now, I want you to listen to me carefully because I'm getting ready to slay a dragon. The alpha and omega is called the circle. You got that? Circle. The circle is 360 degrees. 360 degrees equals 100%. That 100% and 360 degrees equals what is known as a whole. That whole is where you derive holy, holistic. Do you understand? Halig, halig, holy, halig. Is Sanskrit again. And it means sun. And that's where you get the term holy book. Holy Bible, Holy Quran, Uwaspi, Torah, Hexatah. Do you understand? So when you say Holy Quran, you're actually saying the sun reader. When you say Holy Bible, you're saying the sun book. Both of them, you're supposed to know how to read the sun by angles of the earth. Glyph. Now remember this circle here, right? Remember what you said about Hitler here, right? So let's put some things together. Usually when you're talking about Hitler, in your mind, you're thinking the Aryan Brotherhood and stuff like that, right? 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 But what it really is, first sign in the east, where the sun rises on the horizon of the glyph of the earth. And that circle in German is this. Circle, German, Old High German, circle, German, circle, German, circle. German, that's why it's important to know language, linguistics, how things evolve so that you can read cultures, because the culture is in the language. You understand? Now, persons who belong to secret societies are told these things so that they're not caught in the mysteries of the dragons. That's their advantage, because they know better, meaning they're not spooked. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Therefore, they can, what you call, navigate the earth plane. How do you navigate the earth plane? With a compass and a square. Here's your square, and there's your circle. That's why they say Jesus was a carpenter. You got to understand what it's really saying. And then you take that same cross here, and you got hex alpha. You understand? You got to know what you're looking at. Then you take that same circle, and the first of the Germanic tribes, you think it's German? No. That studied us in Persia and in ancient Paro, that you later call Hindustan, that you call today India, you'll see this. That glyph, and this glyph, and this glyph, which is the glyph of the earth, is the circle, i.e., this sign here is called the Coptic cross or the church. That is not a place in the sense that people take it. It is the zodiac. It's called the zodiac. The zodiac is the etheric northern and southern hemisphere of the universe. The culture of that study is called cosmology. Cosmology comes from the word cosmos, which is synonym with universe. Therefore, the truth is, of what you've been calling religion is that study and that philosophy. And all of your major religions lead right back to that circle. So therefore, the high priest will never tell people, they'll tell people that the church is the building. They will never tell the people that church is that symbol. You see the whole point? And right now, you'll see they'll take the circle off the church. It's still on some of your older churches. Why? Because then they'd have to explain what it means. If you understand what I'm saying. So now what do you look at this? When you understand the philosophy that goes with this, then you will be called the Logos. Do you understand? Now, Seth, see the circle here? You see the watch on your arm?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock,
Right.
3 o'clock.
Right.
That measures the movement of the earth around the sun. Although your older timepieces measured 19 planets. Right now, we're only using about 10% of our brain, so most of our people can't handle older instruments. They can only handle things where their attention span doesn't go past 2 feet. If you get the point like that, you know, like boys and girls, children. But that's not how it always has been. It's just that we fell back. You know, and much of it having to do with the Inquisition, them burning books, blocking the people, taking the world back into darkness, at least 587 years, roughly. All right, now keep this in mind. From this term, the good being, came the term, the supreme law, or the supreme being. This is also called slaying the dragon, because you know the origin of things. Therefore, it's no mystery anymore. You understand? This is why real world history and sociology is not really taught to people, because it would kill most of the mystery systems that are perpetrated by religious leader guys, as you might say, who make a living off maintaining ignorance and spookiness, if you understand what I'm saying, and then blaming it on Jesus and Muhammad and Allah and Moses. You know, while they themselves, for themselves, know the truth and take oaths to Rome not to reveal the secret. This is where all your secret societies exist. although they appear different from each other, having different agendas, the foundation of their knowledge is still the same. Meaning that the truth is one. But they'll have you thinking that God comes in flavors and versions, you know. Mm-hmm. You see, you know, the God, the one, yeah, the God like that, the one that really has the, yeah, not that one, the other one. Because the other one, I used to believe in that one, but now I believe in this, you know. Well, you know, everybody who really knows real truth knows that those people are sick. I mean, you ain't going to say it, but they're sick. But it's not their own thoughts. They're under mind control. But they're arrogant because they're taught that. You understand what I'm saying? So the arrogance that they're taught is really the safety net for the one who perpetrated the lie. So the demystification is, and really the job of rabbis, rabbinate, the job of grand sheiks, the job of high priests, and particularly the job of a prophet, who is really a seer, is to bring the law back and put people back on the path so they can go back and find themselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? People have, in other words, most dogmatic religions have people thinking that they got a God to sell and that they are qualified to bring you gods and all that other stuff without you knowing that God is, it must be qualified. It's generic. You know what I mean? And of course, if a person doesn't know that, a person usually gets stuck in that gradient. Then the leeches come and suck on them because they'll take care of them. Mm-hmm. You understand? And this is how this thing's been working. But once you know the truth, it's a narrow path. But then, no matter what, whether you're rich, poor, or in between, no one can fool you. And if somebody comes to you with something, they got to build with you, but they can't put you back into darkness. The only thing they can do is kill you. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or you defend yourself and kill them. Right. However, you ain't going back to sleep. Right. This is why people who are in positions of authority, government, big-time churches, mosques and synagogues, are all Masons. And also why them same people condemn Masonry across the pulpit. They condemn it because they don't want you to examine it. Because once you start examining it, you'll start understanding religions. And one thing you'll start understanding about religions is that somebody was fooling you, giving you something saying it was religion, and it ain't religion. Then you find yourself in conflict with the people around you when you try to convince them that what they thought was the game ain't the game. Then you're unpopular. Then you and a whole bunch of other stuff. So even when the truth comes, it's kind of difficult because the people, when the truth comes, they ask for it, but when the truth comes, they run because it's not what they expected. Right. Do you understand? Yeah. Now keep this in mind. And now you go into European history. The first of the German tribes to study the ancient Moabites, Hindus, and Persians were studying our culture, and thereby were given the name Aryans for the East Gate. East Gate is the sign of Aries or Ram. This is why in their rituals they'll say High Ram of Biff. Aries. High Ram, the Ram, Aries, the Lamb of God. A grown lamb, ram. You gotta understand what you're looking at. But like if you understand the symbolisms and the philosophies, you know that sometimes people can talk to you and say different things according to who they're around when they want to talk to you and not talk to someone else. They'll talk to you in signs and symbols. And the people sitting around, oh yeah, I heard that the Lord said that. And you know, they swear they got this together. Yeah, you know what was going on. They talk right over their heads. And this is how things have been working. Noble Jolly came to bring an end to that, as far as we're concerned. Because the estate is ours, and everybody's been living off of us. And living off our virtues, and living off our estate to our suffering. But the knowledge of civilization, the founders of civilization and the philosophies is our direct forefathers. And we are the farthest from it. Noble Jolly's job is to bring us back, or to turn our hearts back to our mothers and fathers. And once you start digging, there's nothing to really make up. It's only that to uncover. It's already there. I mean, the truth is already there. And the closer you get to it, the more people start paying attention to you and start trying to put roadblocks in your way. Because your remembrance, meaning that as you begin to remember things that you say, well, I couldn't possibly remember that because I'm only this old. No, I couldn't because that's deja vu, and I wasn't there. Well, that's what you think. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that ain't really real life. Because your body's only a vehicle, no different than the car that you traded in and came here in something different. Same thing with the suit you got on. But the body's a suit too. But we have a tendency to forget that. You understand what I'm saying to you? So we think we come and go, we think there's death. There is no death. You understand? Some of your own children are your ancient forefathers. Our only problem is that we went to sleep. Our sleep, because we went to sleep under the dragons. That's what the Pontifex is for. That's what Indica Terra Divina was for. That's what the Spanish Inquisition was for. Do you understand what I'm saying? To send the world into darkness. And that's why you have overseer guys called preachers, who the first ones who were given instructions on keeping the natives from getting restless. And then they were given awards, and they were sanctioned by the state, and then told the people that there's a separation of church and state when there really isn't. Because the church is the state. Why? Let me give you an example, and don't take offense, but just look at this. The other day, they were talking on the radio about, the brother, the new prosecutor here, bringing up charges on the priest, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going through all debates about that. Anyone who knows the real history knows why they had not been arresting those priests. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it from a moral and ethical point of view, you get all caught up, man, that ain't fair, man, because I know this guy, man, he just got accused of messing with some children. He can't move nowhere. He can't get a job. If he goes across the street, he got to go sign up with the police department, let them know he's in the area. He can't go near schools. Well, they got hundreds of years of records of these priests ritually molesting children. And although some of those children disappeared, nothing ever occurs. Matter of fact, most people, if they had, just like if you're in jail, right? If you see some guys who mess with some little girls, they call them tree jumpers. They put them in cells by themselves because the brothers will kill them. They'll beat them 2 inches within their life. Tree jumpers are in danger from other guys that are prisoners and all this stuff. They call them tree jumpers. They're in big trouble. How come that doesn't happen to preachers? And they're still in the communities. Mm-hmm. Because the church and state are one. They're all part of a fraternal order of the Jesuits of Rome. Mm-hmm. That's why. Mm-hmm. And many of those parents send their children to these people because they're part of the ritual. Mm-hmm. It's just that when the public finds out, it's kind of ugly and they got to put up a front and act like they're, oh, I never knew. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, it's detestable, but when you know the real history, you don't get emotional about it. You know what you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? And it ain't no mystery. They're real people walking around just like me and you. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, they carry that title. Mm-hmm. And all the members carry this title. Whether it's Union Guard, Ku Klux Klan, White Camellia, etc. All of them carry those titles. And that's the real world politics. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Now, a lot of our people don't want to look at that because now they think they're Christians, not knowing it's really a political system. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
So there's two sides of the world that's always going on all the time. Now, when you have, again, as we was talking earlier, a backdrop of some of the sociology and the politics of the world, this stuff is no longer mystery to you. It can bother you, but it's not a mystery because you understand it. You're not defending it, you're not justifying it, and you're not necessarily condemning it. You're observing it mathematically. You're observing it like an engineer. Because the same principles are used for social engineering. All social engineers know this. This is how they engineer society. Part of it by what you call lies and lies by omission. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Now, in your gates, you watch. Each one of these are broken down into 3. Right? And this is 1, 2, 3, 4 gates, right? Sometimes you'll see these gates in same gates executed like this as abstracts. You understand? Sociologists, historians, anthropologists, when they see this, they see this. When they see this, they see that, and they see that, they see the same thing. They see variations of it. They see the very same thing. People who don't know sociology, don't know symbolisms, and don't know ancient Hiccuta, which you call Egypt, etc., and ancient Mexico, they see them, they think they're totally different things. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, to kill the dragon is for you to know what these are.
Okay.
You see? So the dragon is the darkness of the mystery of God, of what you think it is, as opposed to what it actually is. You understand? Believing is stagnant. Knowing is flowing. Knowing makes you able. Knowing makes you a doer. Believing makes you stagnant, makes you usable for another who knows what to do with it. And with you. Do you understand? You either serve truth or you serve those who know the truth and don't use it except for selfish means. You see? And so this is represented in fact and symbolically when they talk about the one called Jesus turning over the table of the money changers. That's that principle. In other words, the principle of that argument is that. So when you see this, you see 3 houses in each one of these 4, right? Now, so look at this. 3 and 4, right? 3 houses in each one of the 4, right? So 3 times 4 is what?
12.
So that's your numbers. And deci, right, is Latin. Deci is Latin. That's the disciples, 12 disciples.
Okay.
And so the 12 disciples is this. Is this. Do you understand what I'm saying? But for a child, you know, you give it a personality. So they think they're guys that are Yahshua's boys. But this is symbols for children. What right actually is the houses. And this also is called the mansion. That's where it says, in my Father's house there are many mansions. If it were not true, I would have told you so.
Right.
You understand? That's your 12 disciples, you see? Now, look at this. That same 3 and 4, you see that? And so that 3 and 4 is what? Within the circle, right?
Right.
So the 3 plus 4 is what?
7.
That's where you get circle 7 and your 4 gates. And 7 is the number of the perfect man or perfected man. From a metaphysical perspective, then you go into the philosophies of that. The study and the knowledge of this is called Moorish science or cosmology. And goes beyond this, but as an example, this is just simply part of it. Now, you can have the same conversation with a priest and he would totally understand it and take it further. But he wouldn't do it for his congregation.
Right.
Same thing with a rabbi. You understand what I'm saying to you? So that same 7 would also be represented like this. You can make these 7 candlesticks. And the candlesticks represent light. And light represents knowledge. And the gold represents the sun. You understand? And so the point of it is, then you would know that this is going into the philosophies of this. You see? All right? So when you see this, and 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 you see church, you know that the church is this, 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 that's the church. It's just the German word for it.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
So would you reject the church?
No.
No. You put it in perspective. Even though you don't go to the buildings
Right.
that they've been calling
Right.
the church. Do you understand? But it don't mean you wouldn't go there.
Right.
But you would go there with a totally different understanding.
Exactly.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And when the preacher speaks, you will be reading between his words,
Right.
not on his words. The followers believe on the words. You go in the words, come from behind them, and come through them back out to the front.
Right.
Same words. It's a whole different perspective, which means you have eyes to see.
Right.
Do you understand? And those who come with belief are blind, though they have eyes. Because they can't see this.
Right.
Why? Because they don't know symbolism. And it's not because they're ignorant. It's because they've been cheated. That's all. Doesn't make them good people, don't make them bad, and don't make you better than them because you know.
Right.
Because in divine law, we're all equal.
Exactly.
No big eyes and no little U's in Islam. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because divine law in nature, because our mother does not recognize personal station. She recognizes only her children. But there is intelligence. Don't think that she doesn't make corrections, because she does. That's why you don't play with her. Don't mess with Mother Nature, because she'll do stuff to you. If you understand what I'm saying, but she gives you breaks and she gives you warnings. You know, but because we forgot ourselves, we're not as connected as we should be. Therefore, part of our memory is blocked off. And so we sometimes take it for granted. Oh, I don't really understand. You know everything. Stop it. Don't even play that game. You play the game with somebody who don't know. Because there's no such thing as not knowing. Although we say the words, oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, and I say the same thing. We all say it. But really, when we know the law, it's not really. Because it's all in your cells. Because the brain doesn't just reside there. It resides in an aura around you. And everybody got one. So now, and what's your excuse? You're not excused, because ignorance of yourself is not excuse. Ignorance of the law is not excuse, and you are the living law. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, of course, the science on how to find that and how to know that is what the priest's job is, which is why the griots are always given the knowledge to preserve it, to maintain it with the children.
Okay.
If you understand what I'm saying. So that to stimulate, because as we go through our growth periods, we go through stages. And every time you come back, a veil is pulled so you can forget most of what your other life is. You understand? So you're not distracted with the lessons that you have to learn at this time, because the earth is a school. Do you understand? But we've got preoccupied in sport and play and really forgot who we are, and start thinking really that this is really us. It's a spacesuit. And it's all it is. And when you forget that, we have a tendency to start being preoccupied, fearing death when there is none. There's only transformation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Energy doesn't dissipate. It doesn't dissipate. It can't go nowhere. It transforms. Do you understand? And the philosophies is tell you how it works. Now, if you want to know what you did last time when you was here, right? You go to your north and your south node. So that's what your high priests are for. Because they can take your numbers and go to your north and south node and then give you a mirror and let you see yourself. That's what religion is. That's why they always tell you about the triune Allah. Or in the church they'll say the Trinity. But they'll give you mysteries instead of just bluntly telling you that's your sun, your moon, your rising. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That's just the blunt truth. Because that's what the scientists are going to use, you see? And then they go to that chart and they look at the position of the heavens. Oh, and he prayed up to heaven. No, they looked at the positions of the stars. Stop it. That's why they talk about the Trinity, 3 wise men, follow the stars, projected the birth of the Nazarite. You gotta understand what they're really saying. They're master astrologers, cosmologists, they're scientists. Do you understand? Because everything is read in the stars. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's determined by the 7 Eloah. Now, Eloah is Hebrew. What you would call Hebrew is Hebrew. Right? And there's Eloah. And each one of these candlesticks are symbolic of the Eloah. Each one of these Elah, 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 Elah. Right? There's 7 Elah. And so the 7, see that? Elah is and that's plural. See? So now the masses, when they're taught usually by the sorcerers who really don't want them to know the truth, they'll make them think that this is singular. That's plural. This is singular. That's the difference between adepts and followers or believers, between the rabbis and the believers, between the ministers and the believers. Well, why don't they tell the believers the truth? Because then they can't get their lunch money. Because once you explain the 7 golden candlesticks, then you got to explain the lights on them. Then you got to tell them lights are symbolic. What are those lights symbolic of? The 7 stars. That's in Jesus' hand in the book of Revelation. See, 7 golden candles. He stood amongst 7 golden candlesticks. In his right hand, he has 7 stars. Candlesticks are symbolic. The stars are real. They both represent light. These are going out. Which one do you want? You understand? So now you got to get into the science, right? You got to get into the science of what? Elam. Islam. So now, so you must learn all of these eels, right? You must learn all these eels, right? And there's 7 of them. But the best that you know, generally, if it's left up to the sorcerers, all you know is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Because that's their casual names. But then they have holy names. You see? And each one of their holy names end with eel. You understand? They're titles of the lords of the earth. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
The term Nephilim.
Infinite?
Nephilim.
Nephilim. Now the Nephilim, that you would refer to, like in the Bible or the Torah, as the giants. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Or some people who don't know, who know of them, say, the gods of the skies. No, one of them's Fred, one of them's Jesse. You understand? They just, technology is just more advanced than what you are right now, so you well, they've got to be gods because they, and they're competing with each other. Well, that was the devil. No. That's Fred. You understand what I'm saying to you? When it comes down to earth, it's no different than children would be impressed with us. You know, like we can't, you know, I'm like, yeah, man, the basket this high, right? So I'm show off with the little children. Wham! The children go, he dunked that ball. But let me go get some pros. And it's a laugh. They're only impressed because they can't do it. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, like, look at this. As an example, a rabbi, high priest, and Adam, right? They're not going to talk to you on this level because they took oaths not to speak on this level. They only speak in the chambers on this level with other Adams. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Mm-hmm. So, like for instance, it's like you become good at what you do. Right? If we're building this building, we got to do some work in this building. Like I said, you know, look at this and got some ideas. Some things got fixed anyway. And already you're calculating in your mind the period, structure, the type of materials used, what you're going to do, how you're going to run the juice, whatever you're going to do, the plumbing, blah, blah, blah. It's already in your mind. We're not going to go through all that. We'll do a little blueprint, little sketch, but we're just going to go ahead and do what needs to be done. It's going to roll with it, and that's how it rolls, because we're operating on principles, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with the body, right? A good seer, a good prophet can sometimes look at your bone structure and almost tell when you were born and be close enough to surprise you and never have met you. You understand? Mm-hmm. And if they get the number when you were born, the location you were born, right? Some of them don't even have to go do charting. Some of them look at your hand, start projecting, and can almost tell when you're going to die. And almost tell what you're going to die from. And you'd be amazed. They won't tell most people because it'll scare you. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? That's why most real astrologers don't do their own charts. Because it's a mirror on the spirit plane, what the glass mirror is on the physical plane. Okay. That's the real science. Okay. Say it again.
Yeah, you said it's a mirror on the...
Say it again?
No, you were saying it was a mirror on the spiritual...
It's a mirror. In other words, let me, like this, and this is an example. If I want to know you, I ask you what your Trinity. I ask you when you were born. What month? Where on the planet? What's the geographical location? Give me a general longitude, latitude. Right? Give me the time, whether it's night or morning, right? And they'll take that number and they'll go to the star chart. It's called an ephemeris. And all governments got one. All governments have one. All industrialists have one. Every palace got a Sayaraha in it, including the palace down there in Washington. Do you understand? And when any important things are done, or the president's making some important trip, the Sayaraha gives a readout. Oh, Mercury's in retrograde. No, change the date. No big thing. They just do it. This is how things are really run. But they're not going to sit and discuss that with you. Okay. They'll tell you what you want to hear. How come they saying things and they never do what they say? They always saying stuff and then they do another thing. That's because you don't understand what's going on. But if you understood charting, nothing would surprise you. Oh yeah, uh-huh. And then you'll see people sitting around having discussions. You know, because the Democrats said, and then because the Tea Party guys, and if all those Republicans, they're all partners. That's a pony show for the dumb public that got mentality of children, boys and girls, who pay the bills, who get screwed. You understand? And they sit around debating their beliefs, which was given to them, by the way. It's where they know Jesus, Allah, and Moses, and Prophet Muhammad. And not that they don't, but they don't. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Noble Drew Ali's job is to reverse all of that BS Gedorf. To who? To the one who didn't seek it, but it sought them. To the ones who are the direct heirs to this great estate that don't even know they got an estate, that are totally disconnected, who have nothing, whose culture is discussing poverty, whose religious songs are all based in begging and feeling sorry for themselves. And trying to keep hope alive. If they can find that, they can look at it and talk about, well, I ain't got it, but I can hope about it. You might get it one of the days and stuff like that. And that's their whole culture. And watching their children die younger and younger. And then lying to them, telling them they're saved in the same breath. Really. And yet the whole world lives off them just like a carcass, just like vultures coming and sucking. They make everyone rich, yet they are poor. How can something that has no value make others rich? Which means we can't even count. Do you kind of get where I'm coming from? So when I'm talking, I might jump on different subject matters because there's just so much to talk about. But it's to build concepts. But the concept that we're really building is really smacking you around a little bit to agitate you. Knowing that it's waking up cell memory that you have, that I know you have, that you may not know that you have. But it's not my job to talk to you. My job is to talk to yourselves. But your cells are your ancient ones that's here with you that you think is spirit. But I know who they are. My job is to smack them. Somebody, you might get mad at me, but that ain't what the point is. The point of it is, till you wake up that cell memory, you have no armor. Your garment is open. See, because they can't rip your garment, but they can get in if you open it up. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And that's all it is. So, Islam, brother. Take notes if you got some shared papers, brother. So, if you get some of the keys on what really goes on, things that you didn't pay attention to before, you'll start paying attention to. Things that are said around you that you thought was something else, you'll start recognizing that people was talking over your head deliberately. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Certain things that occur in politics. Matter of fact, you can sit back, you listen to news and people say, yeah, man, look at that, man. I ain't voting for that sucker next week because he ain't giving us no peanut butter sandwiches. And you won't even be impressed. It doesn't excite you because you already know what they're going to do and what they ain't going to do. You already know the dog and pony show. It is no different than, you're not always exact. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But you're close enough to be sure. Right. See, do you understand what I'm saying? You're going to come down like this, right? You understand? You're not going to be saying, now let's calculate this. I think he's dribbling. No, duh, he's dribbling. He's playing basketball. You don't need to discuss that. You want to start thinking what moves I'm going to make when I cross that line, whether I'm going to drive the ball, whether I'm going to pass it, whether we're going to do a double pass, whether I'm going to cross over, whether I'm going to dunk, too short to dunk, so I might get a good jump shot. I mean, that's how you think. And then you start preparing just like chess for the moves. Same thing with politics. When you know what the real mission is, for instance, and this is back to things that we have to remember. Once you don't get upset about it, but you know they're colonists, so you know what a colonist does. You know what a colonist is for. So when they do things to exploit the people, you're not saying, well, man, that's surprising. Well, if you're surprised, I don't know how many more generations you need to recognize that they're European colonists. They're not white Americans. Duh. Do you understand? So when you learn the truth, you cast a lie off. You understand? In other words, you just pulled off another set of shades. That's the difference between awareness and sleep. Therefore, they can't come and pull a game on you again. Just like, we on the corner, right? So I got these cards, right? Yeah, man. Which one is in? Give up your lunch money, right? You guess which one that walnut seed is under, and then I'm gonna give you my lunch money. And if you don't guess, you give me your lunch money. And you look and you say, oh, that looks easy. You say, oh man, that ain't the one, right? So somebody comes along, knows the game, right? So they let a few people win, but their pockets get full, right? Somebody know the game, come along and say, oh, that's the one. And start taking the finance, and then people break camp and leave. It's the same thing with this. Do you understand what I'm saying? You start exposing the truth, and it takes away the middleman. Why? Because they know you know. They still might have their boys and can strong arm you, but they can't BS you. Do you understand? When Drew Ali came with the Moorish movement, he started exposing the BS. He took the cover off of all secret societies. That's why they don't like him. That's why nobody talks about him. Who's that? I mean, yeah, I heard, but, they don't get it. How come when you try to do some research, you can't get too much information? Because they ain't talking. Because the truth we brought overthrows institutions. Because the institutions are built on lies. Do you understand? And so once you understand, put it this way, once you know the truth, there's no mystery and somebody can't become talking about, this morning I got up and the Lord was talking to me and he said, go tell them